Alright, so I stumbled across this gaming PC that I found on Amazon, which actually I think is pretty well priced for what it is. Has a really decent case. The only real downfall about it, I'll just get to the negatives. So I don't personally like ASRock motherboards. I don't know. I just find that they kind of look ugly. They're a little bit more trashy, but they are perfectly fine. It's nice that it has 4 slots, so that's good. Next is a Zotac GPU, which I always have a problem with. Every Zotac GPU I've had always underperforms, but they are reliable. They do last. Next is only having one fan to pull cool air in while having 3 to shoot hot air out. But at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. So this gaming PC comes with a Ryzen 5 2600X, which is basically an overclocked 2600. If you don't feel comfortable with overclocking, this one does have very, very nice speeds, and you could just pop it in and it's good to go. And you don't have to do any overclocking to it. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Next, it has the 1660 6GB, which is an absolute perfect graphics card, especially to start off higher mid-level range, considering the RX 580 gets beat by it by several percent. Next is just a standard SSD 500GB, which is not an M2, so it's nothing super fantastic. Traditional hard drives use usually 720 RPM to spin to pull information. SSDs don't have any moving components, so if your PC ever tipped over while it was on, you wouldn't lose all your information because the disk couldn't get scratched. It says that it can be up to 30 times faster. I don't really think so. I'm pretty sure it's 15 times faster, and then the M2, because it doesn't have to use a SATA cable, it plugs into the bottom there, so there's no cable to slow it down. I'm pretty sure that one is 30 times faster. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Next, it has a built-in Wi-Fi, which is perfectly fine. I just personally don't like 2 sticks hanging out and blocking the fan, but you can put it any direction, so it's kind of a mute point. It doesn't really matter. So I built it here, which I did change out one part because this one was cheaper with a faster speed, just to keep it a little more fair. If you are going to try to build this yourself and try to get it as close as possible, here, you know what? We're just going to switch it over. If you were going to do it yourself, there is a 450GB, which is about $3 cheaper, which I would choose above the ASRock, just because Gigabyte is very easy to use and overclocking, blah, 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 blah. And then the MSI just had a much faster speed. So you can see the turbo speed is 1,830, while the Zotac one is only 1,785, quite a difference, but that's just me. I would just choose the faster one, and MSI to me is just a better quality GPU. I have the same chassis on a 2060 as that MSI Ventus, and it does absolutely great. 16 gigabytes of RAM at 3000 speed. This one says 16 gigabytes, but it only shows one stick. I'm doubting they're going to give you one stick of 16, but even if they did, it's perfectly fine. I would always suggest having at least 2 sticks of RAM. If you're doing 8, 2x4. If you're doing 16, 2x8, and if you're doing 32 with 16s, 2 16s. Just because using multiple channels will speed up your game, especially with Fortnite with low settings. Yeah, so what this build is missing, it's currently sitting at, I feel like something's missing. Got it. I feel like the price went down. $595. Plus you're going to have to add... No, there's definitely something missing. I'm missing the graphics card. No, I'm not. What the heck is missing? That price is much lower than what it was a second ago. Unless there's a better sale? Alright, well why don't we do it this way? Because it doesn't look like anything's missing. We're going to find out what the final price is. $595. What's the change? 32. Then you're going to be adding this minus 10%, so we'll say $20, which these are the fans that I use in mine. They're RGB, and you are able to hook up 3 more if you ever plan to buy more fans for the front at any time, if that's what you are into. So we'll just put in 20 bucks. Don't worry about the shipping. I live in Canada, so it's automatically defaulting. Next is Windows 10 Pro, which this one has sold a lot, and there's been, yeah, 4,766. And this is 638. 638. Next is the Wi-Fi, which I use, which does absolutely great job. I get perfect speeds with this. I have no problems with it. And it is 1080. $632. Well, this one is 800. Got the CPU, got the motherboard, got the memory, got the hard drive, got the GPU. Oh, this just sold. This is 80 bucks. Oh, they actually sold the last one. That explains why it's not coming up. It was $80 on Amazon. It literally sold. So we have to add $80 to this because the average case is going to be around 100 bucks. So let's do that. 712.5. Well, this one is 799. So to build it yourself, you're saving roughly about 80 bucks. Just going to close that. I don't need that up. Which isn't bad, but if you're not comfortable building, if you were going to bring this somewhere, it's going to cost 50 bucks anyways. At least if you do it this way and you buy the pre-built, if you have any problems, especially being Amazon, you can return it, no questions asked, 30 days. So if you get it, you decide you hate it, or it's not performing right, you can return it very, very easily. So this is the most generic CPU if you plan to do no overclocking, but the nice thing about this computer, it comes with a 2600X, which is great for streaming because it has 12 threads over the 6. You can stream with this one perfectly fine, but this one, if you use multiple programs, like all these programs that are up, it's going to run a lot better with having the 12 cores. This one you cannot overclock. It's stuck to what it is. And then this one you can overclock to about 2% higher FPS on average than this one. Next is the RX 570 is basically the most generic 60 frames pretty much in every game you throw at it sort of thing, 50 to 60 range, and then this one scores about 31% higher, which is nice to know that every game that you play you're going to get over 60 frames, which is very nice. If you plan to get a 144 hertz monitor, you're playing on high settings on Grand Theft Auto, you're going to get 72, you lower it, you'll get around 100. Overwatch, you can clear 144. PUBG, you should be able to get 144, and then Fortnite, you should be able to, with some overclocking, pull up to the 200 range, or maybe even higher. But yeah, above all, the 1660 is the absolute perfect upper mid-level graphics card, which will last a while. It has 6 gigabytes of VRAM, which is nice, which is more than enough. So yeah, I would say generically that this computer's not bad at all. It only costs you $80 more to get it already put together if you're not comfortable. If you are comfortable building, of course there's better options. I would choose a different 1660. I'd choose a different motherboard to save some money, get better performance, maybe even add a liquid cooler rather than the RGB fans. And you're probably going to have a better running system and it will save you a little bit of money, but above all, this isn't bad.